Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me as we are moving along through the tournament. Currently, we are on round 4, part 4. Shoot, man, you know what? A couple days ago, I didn't even bring this up. You see that massive freaking contract that Juan Soto signed? What was it? 15 years and $765 million. Think about it this way, guys. Freaking Shohei Ohtani. That man is both a pitcher and a hitter. And he's a dominating freaking pitcher, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he is a dominating pitcher, and as a hitter, he is like a 300 hitter, steals like 50 bases, hits like 50 home runs. The man is a massive run producer as an offensive threat, and like I said, he's a top-notch Cy Young type pitcher. So when the Dodgers gave him like 77, gave him like a $700 million contract, they basically gave him the contract of two players in one. I understood that, but that was psychotic, even for a two-way player. But you're giving Juan Soto almost $1 billion for one freaking player. Juan Soto is a freaking franchise player. I get it. He's 26 years old, but $765 million for one guy. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, for any of you guys that are following baseball or baseball fans, it's stuff like that that makes me not enjoy sports. And I don't know what it was. Probably 2013, maybe 2014, somewhere around that area. 2015, I don't remember the year. I want to say 2014, throughout a year. And I remember during that year or during that era, David Price and Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw, all these pitchers were getting $30+ million a year. And like David Price was getting a contract for like 7 years, like $214 million. I mean, Zach Greinke was a great pitcher, Cy Young pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, but he really worth $34 million a year? And I'm like, I'm looking at the contracts. I'm like, it's freaking baseball. I get it. 162 games. There is no sport that's more draining on the body than Major League Baseball. But still, it's a game. At the end of the day, you're being paid to play a freaking game. And your average person that buys tickets and has to sit in the stands and buy drinks and buy hot dogs and buy pop or beer or whatever, concessions, that crap is expensive as heck. You want to go to Wrigley Field and sit in the deepest part of the stands where you got binoculars and it looks like you're 50,000 feet up in the airplane looking down on the ground. That's what it looks like, and those tickets still cost you $200. Why? Because you're paying your superstars $500 million, 600, $700 million. It's ridiculous. And I look at the Cubs; they paying like $27 million a year for Cody Bellinger. Come on, I love Cody Bellinger. I think I think he's a great player. And even they're trying to trade him. I'm like, he's like the one lone superstar that the team actually has. I guess Ian Happ, but shoot, the Cubs trade Ian Happ. That's it. Blow up the freaking franchise. As a Cubs fan, what else do they have? That's the Cubs are like one of those organizations that are richer than the Dodgers or Yankees. I don't care what anybody says. The Chicago Cubs are a richer franchise than either organization. It's just pathetic that they run themselves like a lowball Kansas City Royals, Oakland Athletic type of organization. So you don't really see them like the big money ball team or organization that they are. But they are a richer organization. But yeah, that just kind of blew my mind and makes me angry as a fan to see that he's not worth it. Oh man. yeah, that's my little 5-minute rant. Or, yeah, bam, 5 minutes right on the dot. 5-minute rant just before today's video. Obviously, not a whole lot to go on talking about prior to today's tournament video, so I figured I'd discuss baseball. You know, one of my passions in life, I guess. So let's dive into today's video. Only 8 matchups remaining, and like I said, this is part 4. Only 2 videos to close out round 4. First matchup is going to feature Big Boss Man. I can't do it. I don't want to read off this name. I don't want to read off this name. Big Boss Man versus Kamala. I'm stuck. I looked at the last video and I read King Kong Bundy upgraded version versus Big John Studd, and I'm like, I'm stuck. And I'm looking at this first name and I'm like, you guys, when I make these tournament videos, the goal is each of these videos theoretically should be like 15 minutes. In all honesty, that's how long these videos I want them to be. I want them to be between 15 to 18 minutes. None of these videos should even touch the 20-minute marker. But you want to know why they go 45 minutes to an hour? It's matchups like that. I have no freaking clue how to choose between matchups like that. It sucks. Those are finalists right there. Damn it. Frustrating. Bruiser Brody squares off again. Here we go again. Why not? Bruiser Brody versus Big John Studd referee. At this point, I'm like, I don't know. Abdullah Butcher from Random Treasures squares off against Nickel and Dime from Mark Hackenberg. And the last matchup is Barry Windham and what the hell is that? Oh, that's Brutus. Brutus from Really? Brutus is still in this tournament? Okay. Brutus from Random Treasures. I'm stuck. At least those first 2 matchups. I mean, the last 2 are hard enough. Those first 2, I'm stuck. I don't know. I don't know where to go with those matches. Alright, guys. Let me pull the figures and let's see what kind of BS I can come up with. Alright. First matchup. I don't know, guys. This is tough. Kamala versus Big Boss Man. Well, what is the big hype? Well, for starters, both figures are original and both figures are in my 10. As you know, if an original figure was going to win this tournament, I really thought that one of these 2 figures had the best opportunity to do so. So, pitting these 2 guys against each other here in the 4th round, it's one thing if they were going up against each other in like the semifinals, but in the 4th round, it's, in my opinion, it's way too early in the tournament. Anything prior to round 5, I think even round 5 is way too early. Round 6, that's the time that these guys should be going up against each other. Anything prior to that, it's wasteful. Leg up, Kamala. And, of course, I'm blowing my tags away. Boss man Kamala. Sorry, my tags are flying everywhere. So, why does Kamala have the leg up? Well, let's go with the highlights of this figure. Number 1, 2 previous tournament runs. He was a semifinalist in the first tournament, one of the last 4 figures standing. In the second tournament, he was a finalist, one of the last 2 standing. And he was actually, again, very close to defeating Bruiser Brody and unseating him as champion. He was damn near close to actually beating Bruiser Brody. Now, obviously, I really think that if I were to reshuffle my alignment of how I value, or how I would do my valuation of the LJNs, I don't think I'd classify Kamala at number 4 anymore. If he's not a number 1, he's got to be like number 2, somewhere in there. So, but the last time I ever did a countdown of my top 10, Kamala was number 4, Bossman number 6, which I think is insane. Either Kamala's number 1, number 2, or maybe Bossman is number 1, number 2. So, but if I were to go, again, based off of old semantics, number 4, number 6. So, but again, that number system, it really doesn't have any bearing. Not really. I mean, how many times have we seen figures where I'm like, okay, this figure here is, this figure is my number 3 all-time favorite figure. This is my number 15 favorite figure. But number 15 always seems to come out on top. So that doesn't really, it doesn't seem like that really has any bearing, right? Bossman. I did not give the big Bossman a fair shake in my first tournament. And as you guys recall, back in that first tournament, I basically went based on how the figures were situated on the shelf. And I took the Ultimate Warrior figures. I didn't care about, fighting pose. If it was an Ultimate Warrior figure, fighting pose be damned. All Ultimate Warrior figures squared off against each other. Second round, Ultimate Warrior, Hogan pose, squared off against Bossman. Bossman was gone. This time around, I don't think I would really, hell, even the second tournament, I think if that match ever happened again, I don't even think I would have made that same determination. Maybe not. I don't know. This time around, if that matchup happens, would I still make the same determination? I don't know. It's probable, but not guaranteed. But I know that Warrior was gone in like the 3rd round last time, and luckily Bossman got his just dues the last tournament and was actually in the finals the last time. So both figures have seen a finals run in this, my favorite LJN tournament, in previous runs. So it's not like either figure hasn't had any sort of successful run previously. Now, Kamala, in his finals run, actually, yeah. Or was he a or was Big Bossman a semifinalist? I'm trying to think. He may have been a semifinalist, not finalist. Or if he did make the finals, he was one of the last 3 standing. And that may have been what it was. He may have been one of the last three. So both of these guys may have been these two plus Bruiser Brody, if I recall correctly. And that same thing is going to happen in this tournament. You're going to have 5 semifinalists and 3 finalists in the 7th round. If I recall correctly, again, I'm speculating. I don't remember exactly, but I'm trying to use past tournaments to help me make a judgment call, because there really isn't. I'm at a loss. I could put these figures down and come back to them, and hopefully by that point I'll have a better idea. But I don't want to do that. I want to be able to judge them and make a determination before we move on. Now, Kamala, what I've always said about this figure, I've always enjoyed the fact that his pose is very similar to that of Hogan, right? And I've always said Hulk Hogan LJN is basically one of the more perfect fighting poses. Now, the one thing that bothered me very early in the LJN collecting is the open hand. But since then, it's actually been upgraded to a very significant upgrade attribute, because instead of 2 open fists, you kind of give that little uppercut, that little chop underneath the chin type of deal. So awesome. Like Hogan and Stud and Andre, bended knee, right? So you've got that awesome body slam pose, which I absolutely covet. Now, Boss Man, he actually does have a very slight bend to the knee. Unlike the other figures, though, he doesn't have that nice extreme separation in the legs like the other figures. So he does have a very slight bend in the knee, which is helpful. But with the closeness of the legs, he doesn't have that perfect body slam or to-be body slam pose that I covet. That does hurt this figure more than the others. But because I crave, or I covet figures that are clothed. I've always said that clothing adds extra detail, it adds extra graphics. That's why I will always praise the $1 Million Man. I will always praise Honky Tonk Man. I will always praise Big Boss Man. I have to go off of childhood nostalgia, right? I grew up watching Kamala. He was one of the most fascinating, disturbing, and most frustrating characters of my childhood. Like, he was so much fun, but oh my god, every time he belly flopped somebody and then rolled them over 100 times and tried to pin them while they were face down was so aggravating. It was so aggravating, but so much fun, and at the same time, but it was that inkling. Just, you wanted to reach through the TV, just choke him out. It was so insane. But but you still kind of laughed at it. But I always talk about Big Boss Man, and I've said that Big Boss Man, hearing him talk on the mic, man, so much passion and so much fun to hear him talk. So much energy in the ring, and one of those guys, I've always loved the way the man always comes in the ring. He's fully buttoned up and everything. Within seconds of him starting to wrestle, his shirt is all like, it's torn up and whatnot. I'm like, dude, get some freaking pins on your shirt. Like, you barely even started moving and your shirt's already falling apart. I think I've come up with an answer. I don't know if it was an expected answer, but I think that might have put it over the top. I think the nostalgia aspect of this matchup is really going to help me make a decision. And I think I am going to go with Big Boss Man on this one. Losing Big John Studd earlier in the last video, that hurt. Big John Studd has never lost earlier than a round 6 elimination. Kamala has never been eliminated earlier than round 6. So seeing those two figures, Kamala and Studd, both round 6, round 7 every single time, and now they both are gone in round 4, it's insane. And if with this many figures, I mean, if this is going to be the new norm, I don't like it. Because they are both premier figures. But that basically tells me where this figure now lies. That now tells me that this figure is basically not my number 6 favorite LJN anymore. That tells me that this figure really is going to jump up my list. And might actually be my number 1 favorite LJN figure. And I think I made the actual argument where I really believe that based on color, height, width, weight of the figure, comes with accessory and everything, name recognition, I really do believe that among the original LJNs, I do believe that Big Boss Man really should be the number 1 greatest LJN figure ever made. So the pointer figure kills me. I think that's the one thing they could have done without. They just gave him a closed fist. It would have been perfect. Maybe spread his legs out a little bit more. Didn't necessarily have to be as far out as Kamala, but you can't deny the perfection of this figure. I wanted a couple more rounds for Kamala, but stupid drawing. Oh, man. Big Boss Man moves on to round 5. Now, this match does not make things any easier. Here is the thing I keep going back. Every time I look at Big John Studd, one of the things I always say is that technicalities count. Technically, Big John Studd was my winner in the first tournament, right? Anybody that watched that tournament and were reading my lips, they knew that Big John Studd was about to leave my lips before I eventually, at the very last minuscule of a second, brought up Bruiser Brody to win and named him my champion. And I think because of, I mean, there are a million factors that played into my decision, but one of the big highlights is the fact that original Big John Studd was just a very plain figure overall. Red boots, white pants with the stars. It just wasn't enough graphic and detail overall to really put that figure over the top. Now, the referee, it does give him a little bit more graphical design, but it's still a very plain overall figure. You lose the stars on the pants. You separate the white for all black. You still got the red boots, or in this case, red shoes. So you take away no shirt. You give him an actual t-shirt. So that's something. I don't know. Play pose, I really do like the Big John Studd play pose better than the Greg Valentine play pose. So I don't necessarily think that your Bruiser Brody figure is necessarily better as far as pose goes. And I've talked about it before. And because of all the folks out there that are replicating the Bruiser Brody figure and what they're doing with the Bruiser Brody figure, so I'm trying to think of the best way to display this chain because I don't like the way I have it wrapped around his hand. No, that doesn't look good either. Trying to, if the chain was long enough, I'd want it to like display around his neck or something, but it's just not long enough. Guess I'm stuck with this. All right. So, one of the things I talked about, because of all the people that are trying to replicate this figure, and they're using Greg Valentine and they're using Hillbilly Jim, and it's destroying my viewpoint on this particular figure. And it's a damn shame, because as a prototype, this is still, in my estimation, one of the most perfect figures ever made. I actually have, I don't know if I would call it a preference, but like I still envision, and I still have like a sort of preference of sorts of seeing that little name tag of sorts and seeing Bruiser Brody, 3-time champion. I think that, I mean, that has more of a shine to it than Bruiser Brody, 2-time champion. So, I mean, I don't mind I don't mind seeing Bruiser Brody win this tournament again. But I want to make sure that he is the most deserving champion. And just kind of like how today, how I still classify Big John Studd as my favorite original LJN, even though Big Boss Man and Kamala, maybe even Hogan to an extent, might be, better figures in my estimation, right? But I still say Big John Studd best LJN. Whatever. I think regardless of whoever wins this tournament, even if it's not Bruiser Brody, I mean, am I still gonna say that he's not my favorite LJN overall? I might still say that this is my favorite piece regardless, because I've owned this piece for 2.5, almost 3 years. Well, yeah, just about 3 years now. A few more months, it'll be 3 years. Man, I've had this for a long time. Damn. I mean, no matter how many times I talk about the figure and look over his boots and the hair, which is insanely good. The life of Bruiser Brody is so freaking sad, man. I think I've been holding off wanting to talk more of the backstory of Bruiser Brody, because of I kind of feel like he is going to end up in the finals again, right? And if that happens, I want to make a little bit longer video, and I kind of want to do a little backstory with him in that video, because it's only going to be like, let's say, 3 figures. So if I make a 30-minute video with 3 figures, that'd be fine. I don't know if I would put Bruiser Brody over this stud referee, though. In all honesty, if Big John Studd original could have beat him in the first tournament, there is a possibility this one could win right now. I could just say, darn it, put this stud over Bruiser Brody, be done with it. Don't even think about this figure anymore. Take him off that pedestal. Let other figures have the opportunity to win. I may not have original Big John Studd moving on to the next round, but I could have Big John Studd still in the tournament, and that would be important to me. Damn it. Decisions, man. No. Bruiser Brody, he's got to go on, man. Look, if the best figure is going to win this tournament, the best figure has to beat the best figure. This is a 2-time champion. If Big Boss Man wins this tournament, if Hulk Hogan wins this tournament, if the Dragon Steamboat wins this tournament, or the Colonel Mustafa wins this tournament, or whoever. I don't know. Who do I have here? Barry Windham. whoever wins this tournament, I want to make sure that they're going to go up against the best figure that's already won this in the past, and they defeat the one that has actually deserves, that they deserve every little bit of credibility. But like I said, man, this is a freaking sad story with Bruiser Brody, man. This man was murdered in the shower just because the owners wanted to give him part ownership of, their wrestling promotion there in Puerto Rico. And I thought that was freaking, talk about freaking pettiness. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that story if this figure makes it to the actual finals. Maybe semifinals, but I don't think we'll have time for that. We'll look at the finals itself. Another Big John stud figure bites the dust here in round 4. So, Abdullah the Butcher from Random Treasures takes on Nickel and Dime. Alright, so I don't necessarily think that Nikolai Volkov is a better figure, per se, than Abdullah the Butcher. And it's nice that Bruiser Brody just went, and now we got Abdullah the Butcher, because a lot of their matches are absolutely legendary. Abdullah the Butcher versus Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher versus freaking Carlos Colon as a couple examples. Brody versus Carlos Colon. I mean, shoot, man. A lot of those Puerto Rico type matches, AW type matches, yeah, man, they were all over each other. I really like this figure a lot, and having already lost the wrestling writer Abdullah the Butcher, it would be nice to push forward at least one of the Butcher figures into the next round. But the Nickel and Dime figure in particular is such a well-crafted piece, and it's not even so much about Nikolai Volkov anymore. And in the past, I've said, yes, Nikolai Volkov, because of the fact that he was the first LJN I acquired, Nikolai Volkov figure meant so much to me. Well, getting him through the first couple of rounds was important. Maybe even getting him into the third round was a nice push. But, I mean, once you made it to about round 3, I mean, was it necessary to go any further than round 3? Probably not. I mean, it was a great figure, but was Nikolai Volkov ever going to win this tournament? No. Is Nikolai Volkov an absolute elite figure? Elite, no. Among the original LJNs, Nikolai Volkov is a top 20 figure. Definitely playable. One of the better fighting poses. One of the more enjoyable, usable figures, most certainly. But his Nickel and Dime counterpart from Mark Hackenberg, I wanted this figure particularly. When I came across this from Mark, I could not for the life of me remember what he was called. I didn't even realize it was portrayed by Nikolai Volkov. And I just remember this particular look. And when I got this, and when I saw that among his listings, I'm like, freaking memories. As part of the $1 Million Corporation, I'm like, hell yeah. And sometimes that's what it comes up to, you know. Like I go back and I watch these old VHS tapes, right, that I buy, and I don't remember all this stuff. I mean, I don't remember any of this stuff. But you watch the tapes, it's like light bulb. It's like you don't think about this stuff. You don't remember any of this stuff. But then you watch it, it's like, well, you don't remember it because, well, you just watched it 2 seconds ago. No, you remember it because you actually remember seeing it from childhood. But if somebody asked you about, hey, do you remember this event occurring, this exact match, this person, that person, on this day, if they were actually physically tell you about, what happened event by event, no. it means nothing. But physically, literally seeing it happen, play out, yeah, that makes all the difference. And this look is so freaking good. The paint job on this was so immaculate. It looks like it comes off the factory floor, and I think it's just done so freaking well. I've always been so proud of what Ram Treasures did with this particular figure, because when I look at this figure, like I like the fact that it sparkles, right? Like it glistens. It glistens like Virgil. But when I look at the face, it looks like a very fat Virgil in the face. So it doesn't really give you that Abdullah the Butcher look. Like I said, it looks like a fat Virgil. So I don't know. But the folds of the breast and everything, I'm like, yeah. The small chops, I love the choke slam he gives you. So the play pose is good. The back fat and the folds and all that is incredible. But the pants, the detail of the pants. When you look at the red Legion of Doom Hawk, right? And you turn the figure around and, he's got his hands up and he's got the muscle tone and the definition, and you see all of the muscles in his back. That detail and intricate tone of definition in his back of muscles, I love that. That's what makes that figure really pop. And then when you look at Abdullah the Butcher and you kind of like look at the pants and you look at how the pants ride up, right? And the way that it situates over his stomach. And you even see like how the pants ride up into his butt and everything. And you see the creases and all that. Just the small intricate detail that go into each bit of this. The elf shoes. My God, the perfection of this figure. And I'm talking about this, and every single bit of detail on this makes me more and more excited. So, I think I have an answer, right? But not so fast. God, I hate this video because this video is so hard to choose. I knew going into this round that I was going to have some of the most difficult choices. But as a matter of fact, once I got through the first video of round 4, I'm like, I got that video done in like half an hour. I'm like, maybe round 4 isn't going to be as hard as I thought. And I'm like, you know what? I've been talking about these figures for 3 rounds. I pretty much have an idea of where I'm going. These last 3 videos have been so freaking hard, man. They've been impossible. These last 2 videos in particular are what? The last video hovered on almost 50 minutes. This video is probably gonna do about the same thing. I know this figure deserves to be in the 5th round. I know he's the better of the 2 figures. Would I be selfish to put Nikolai Volkov in the next round? I kind of feel like it's another one of those scenarios I played out in the last video, like house is burning down and you have the chance to grab one figure. Which one are you grabbing? In the last video, it was Dusty Rhodes or the Kane custom that looked like Big John Studd. And I chose Kane as my figure to move forward to the next round. But we all know I'm choosing Dusty Rhodes if the house is burning down. I kind of feel the same way here. I mean, obviously, no doubt, this is figure I'm grabbing to leave with me, right? But I might go with Nikolai on this choice to move on to the next round. I don't think either figure... I mean, I don't think either figure is necessarily going to win the tournament. And I don't think either figure technically will even make it out of round 5. If we're being honest. I mean, based on random drawing, they could. But with only 5 figures going into round 6, very highly unlikely either figure makes it into round 6. I'm going to give my selection to Nikolai Volkov. So, the nickel and dime, because of this particular look, it just speaks volumes. Now, I actually remember this particular look, and so I have history with this, where I don't have history at all with Abdullah the Butcher, of course. And, of course, Nikolai Volkov as being the first figure, the first LJN I've ever acquired, that personally, means a little bit of something to me. So, I know he's not going to win the tournament, but it's nice that he at least gets the opportunity to be a 5th rounder. I think that's important. So, and the last matchup is, of course, Barry Windham taking on Brutus Beefcake. And I'm surprised Brutus Beefcake has made it to round 4. So, both of these figures are from Random Treasures. Brutus Beefcake is a fantastic figure. Now, when I say I'm surprised, it's not that it's a bad figure. Absolutely not. This is a spectacular figure. No, the surprise is not that it's made it this far. It's that with the amount of, with the sheer quantity of figures in this tournament, and I just could not have imagined that with the amount of competition, that he didn't run into, well, yeah, I mean, it's possible he could have run into inferior figures over time. I mean, first 3 rounds, it's very possible you're going to run into something that's not, that doesn't give you the best opportunity for success. But, I mean, here in round 4, at round 4, there's no escape. Round 4, at 40 figures, when you know every single figure among those 40 are going to be absolute elite figures, like literally that's it. Like I said, there's no escape. You're going to deal with the absolute best of the best. I mean, based on what I've seen thus far, does that make this the weakest among the 40 figures that, well, I think this would be like 32 out of, the 40 figures we've seen so far, but does that make this the weakest figure I've seen so far in this 4th round? I don't know, man. I mean, is he worse than Barry Windham? The Brutus Beefcake is a good figure. It's good fighting pose, great color scheme, comes with an amazing accessory. He is a very solid candidate for the 5th round. I don't think Brutus wins this, does not make it to round 6. I know that. He doesn't win this tournament, but he could at least make it to round 5. I mean, get a good, nice run. Barry Windham, he doesn't have the color scheme that Brutus has. I mean, Brutus, he does have a much weaker play pose than that of Barry Windham. One argument I always make is that Barry Windham and Sid Vicious Galoob, you put those 2 figures together, they work beautifully well together. Don't care if you have all the other Galoob figures together. You can keep all the other Galoobs. As long as you got those 2 figures, Vicious and Windham, you're good. You're golden. Perfect figures to work in tandem. Nice silver and black on the boots. Fantastic play pose. And even though he's basically another Greg Valentine, right? Think about Valentine, just simple black boots. Look at that. Just very small detail change. Where Greg Valentine is just all black, just a little bit of gray on the top of the boots. Are we making a massive change in between the 2 figures? We're not. We're talking the most minute change in detail to the boots, and you're talking about a huge change, a huge difference. Now, yeah, the detail in the actual boots themselves are obviously significantly different, but the color-wise, that makes a nice change. And of course, you throw on some, wrist guards and whatnot. So there are some eye-popping color differences. So I was so sad to see Sid Vicious get dropped in the third round. I mean, that was disheartening. But getting Barry Windham to stick around for another round was a nice push. And even though Bruce Beefcake is an excellent figure, he would not beat Barry Windham in this matchup, and he might be the weakest link of this fourth round. I mean, that doesn't say much because, like I said, you got elite figures in this fourth round. So, I mean, if he comes in 40 out of 40, just making it to this fourth round is incredible. So, in his first tournament to make it fourth round out of 320 figures and be one of the last 40 standing, that is a freaking incredible run. To say that he's one of the 40 best figures out of 320, hell freaking yeah. But Barry Windham gets a very deserving fifth round push. And I don't think he had that type of success in the last tournament. And I'm glad he has this type of push this time. Maybe he got the success because, Sid Vicious obviously was out. I think Sid Vicious might have actually eliminated him in the last tournament. And that sucks, but fifth rounder, still in contention to make it to the semifinals. If he gets the right matchup, he could be one of the last 5 standing. That would be freaking awesome. That would be freaking awesome. I would love to see Barry Windham in the semifinals. All right, guys. So, that is the end of round 4, part 4. One more video to close out round 4. In the meantime, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Saturday, we will close out the 4th round. Next Wednesday, we will come back with round 5, part 1. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because we will do 3 videos for round 5. And Saturday, I'll either do round 6, part 1, or I'll wait to the following Wednesday to start round 6. More than likely, I'll probably wait to the following Wednesday to do round 6. And it'll either be 2 parts to round 6. And it'll be Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday will be round 7 finals. Or it'll just be Wednesday, Thursday, round 6, round 7. But that'll be around Christmas time, so do I got the dates right? Somewhere around there. It'll be close to Christmas. Maybe not exactly, but that'll take us to the next couple of weeks, though. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Goodbye, everybody.